So I grew up in Egypt, born and bred, and one of my absolute favorite desserts is, of course, baklava or baklava, as we say in Egypt. And today I'm going to show you my family's secret baklava recipe, complete with all the tips and tricks to make the perfect baklava every single time. I'm Susie with theMediterraneanDish.com. I'm all about easy, wholesome recipes with big Mediterranean flavors. Today we get to indulge just a little bit and talk baklava. Now, if you haven't made baklava before, it is simpler than you think. First component is, of course, the phyllo dough. Now, do not freak out. You do not have to make phyllo dough from scratch. I use organic phyllo dough from the phyllo factory. This is available in your freezer section in almost any grocery store here in the US. So this is the first component. Second is the filling. Now, most baklava recipes will call for either walnut or pistachio. I actually like to use both, and I like to add hazelnut. And then the syrup on the baklava is made of honey simple syrup that is so easy to do right on the stovetop. I'm going to actually start with the honey simple syrup over on the stove. We're gonna start with the water, about 1 cup, and then we have sugar. I'm gonna stir this in until it dissolves. Then I'm gonna add my honey and other flavor makers. I'm using good quality honey here, you guys, because it is a flavor maker, so try to use the best honey you can find. About a good cup of honey goes in my honey simple syrup for this baklava. And then more flavor makers, you guys. I am using orange extract, about a tablespoon or so. 5 cloves, whole cloves. We're gonna bring this to a boil, then all we have to do is turn it down and let it simmer about 20 to 25 minutes or so. So while the syrup is happily simmering, we're going to go ahead and make our nut mixture that goes into our baklava. Now, remember I said that more traditionally it's a walnut baklava or a pistachio baklava, but in my family, I do a trio of nuts, walnuts, pistachios, and hazelnuts. And I promise you, it is amazing. So we're gonna go ahead and finally kind of chop these nuts in the food processor. Here we go. All 3 nuts are in. It's a nutty situation. All right. Okay, I'll show you the texture that I prefer for my baklava filling. I like it fine enough, but I also like to have some pieces that are a little bit larger. That way it gives a perfect texture to my baklava. We're gonna add a little bit more flavor. I have just a little bit of sugar, and then we're gonna do about 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. And then I like to add a pinch of cloves. This is ground cloves now. It's just a tiny pinch, maybe even less than a 1/4 teaspoon. We're gonna make sure and mix it all together. Beautiful syrup is all ready, you guys. So the reason I do this ahead of time is to allow it time to kind of cool off and thicken just a little bit. So the finishing touch for me here is lemon juice. Really balances the flavor of all that honey and sugar in the syrup. Really important. And I do it right here off the heat. Stir it right in. And I'm gonna just set it aside and let it completely cool before using it later. And now the fun part of assembling our beautiful baklava. So you got your box of organic phyllo dough from the phyllo factory. You gotta open it up. Important tip, you guys, this is in the frozen section, so obviously it's been thawed in the fridge overnight. Also, before you use it, take it out of the fridge for 1 hour. This really helps keep things together. Phyllo sheets are very thin, so just be careful as you pull it out. Comes in a nice, beautiful 13 by 18 inch sheets. Super important tip, you guys, because you're probably not going to work as fast with the phyllo. I use a damp towel to kind of cover my sheets as I work so that they don't dry up. Think of this process as you would like a lasagna or some other casserole that requires you to do layers and layers of goodness, right? But this is even better, baklava, right? So who doesn't like layers of flaky phyllo with beautiful nut mixture and a honey syrup? Oh, I am dying. I can't wait. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just give our pan a brush here. Make sure that you get also the sides so that nothing sticks too much to your pan. This is a 9x13 pan, and my phyllo dough is a little bit bigger, but I'm gonna show you a trick I learned recently. I fold it in half because that happens to fit perfectly. Here's my first layer. This is one sheet of phyllo, fold it in half, and fits right perfectly. So depending on the dough that you use, it may or may not work this way. So just make sure that you grab the phyllo factory, which you can find at the freezer section. So I laid 2 sheets of phyllo pretty much folded in half, and then I'm gonna butter them up. Butter it. I'm gonna keep laying 1 sheet at a time, fold it in half like so, like this, and then just put it right in my pan, and then go in with a little bit of butter. How easy and therapeutic almost, right? I mean, you just keep repeating the process. So we have about 1/3 of our phyllo dough down in the pan so far, and I'm going to go ahead and add the first portion of my nut mixture. I'm going to add about half of this nut mixture right now in here. And then we're gonna smooth this out all the way to the corners, you guys, because if you get a corner piece, you wanna make sure you have some nuts in there, right? Then we're gonna keep going with another 1/3 of our phyllo dough. If you guys have checked out my spanakopita recipe and my apple strudel with this phyllo dough, I use the Phyllo Factory organic phyllo dough all the time in all sorts of recipes. I love that it's organic, just really quality ingredients here, so no need to make your own. You can just buy this stuff right in the freezer section. To make it nice and tidy, just take the knife around the edge and clean it up. We're gonna go in with the rest of our nut mixture. All of it, all of it, all of it. And we're gonna go in with the rest of our phyllo dough from now on. Yeah, so I think a lot of people are intimidated working with phyllo dough, but as you see, it's not that difficult, and especially if you buy the higher quality. That's why I buy my phyllo dough from the Phyllo Factory, because it comes in such good shape already. I don't have to worry about it, and just kind of treat it with care. A little TLC, you know? One layer after another, a couple layers of nuts. I mean, it's no biggie, really. The moment of truth, how do you cut baklava so perfectly? I am not the expert at it, actually my husband is, but this is how we do it. So just pay attention. You go right in the middle of your pan, yes, and you're gonna cut all the way through. You're gonna essentially cut 4 rows before you put this baby in the oven. And then from here, we're gonna do diamond shapes. If this process here is not perfect for you, don't worry about it. All right, we are in business. This baby is going in the oven. I have the oven on 350 degrees, and it should take maybe 45 minutes or so until it's nice and golden. All right, this is looking gorgeous and beautiful. You are looking for a very light golden brown color on top. Super important trick, cooled syrup, hot out of the oven baklava. This is all you need to do for best taste. Well, our beautiful baklava is waiting here to be devoured, but sadly, I have to wait a few hours because baklava is best when the syrup has been completely absorbed. So best thing you can do is actually do it one night in advance, but I'll probably come back to it in a couple hours and give it a quick quality control test. And that's it, you guys. It is simpler than you think. Grab yourself a little phyllo dough, add the freezer section, and make this baklava. The recipe for how to make baklava is on themediterraneandish.com. Make sure you subscribe and follow this channel for more delicious videos every single week. I will see you later. Ciao.